Hello, team. Welcome to another ATPGEO Politics video with myself, Jonathan M.S. Pierce. I'm super excited to be joined again by Dimko Tenko, who is someone I met in Lviv with his wife. They run Jigger's Paw, a charity that we fundraised for. We did the Triad fundraising campaign for them. It was really, really successful, and we've seen some drones with etched logos of ATPGEO Politics on them that they have sent to the front lines. That's super exciting. Dimko is a member of the Unmanned Systems Forces. He is somewhere in Ukraine. That's why it's been difficult to sort of hook up. There are obviously, when you're in a war zone, it's not so easy to just connect to a live stream, but he's done that successfully. Dimko, thanks so much for coming on, mate. Really appreciate it. How are you?
Thanks for having me, Jonathan. Feeling good, feeling great, apart from the internet issues that we are having. And actually, I'm using Starlink right now to talk to you all. Yeah, sometimes it's really unstable, the situation with the connection here. But thankfully, I'm here, and thankfully, I'm happy to talk to you all and be useful anyhow, to share my knowledge.
Awesome. Well, good old Elon Musk. I knew he'd come to help out eventually. So yeah, we are speaking to you. You are somewhere on the front lines or near the front lines. Can you give a little bit of an introduction to those who don't know you, as to what you do, who you are, how you've come to be where you are?
Well, I'm just an ordinary Ukrainian guy. I'm 26 years old. At the moment, I'm a soldier in Unmanned Systems Forces. Here in combat role as a pilot of reconnaissance drones. And basically, my job is to take care of the drone when it takes off, flies, does the reconnaissance, and then lands. The job is to find interesting targets in enemy rear lines, anything that is beyond 30 kilometers away from the front line, any kind of interesting logistics route, ammo depot, or any anti-air defense missiles kind of complexes. This is my specialty. And right before that, I've been since 2022.
Oh, I've lost you. Hello. Since 2022, Dimko. Unfortunately, oh my goodness, this could be quite a difficult live stream if he
Uh,
is. Oh, there you are. So last we heard was since 2022.
yeah. Sorry, probably the connection.
Yeah.
It's acting funny. So since 2022, I have been running quite a big organization here in Ukraine called Zygaspom, in the name of my dog, Zyga, who you have met in Lviv. And we have been helping Ukrainian military technologically, trying to bring more technology into how Ukraine fights, how Ukraine resists Russian aggression. And why I chose that path is that before 2022, I have been quite a successful software engineer and ran many software engineering teams, have been a technical leader and architect for them. So I know a thing or two about the technology. But right now, we as Ukrainians, we have to defend our home, no matter what, no matter what we had back in the day. But right now is the best time and best opportunities to use our knowledge for good to defend our homes and our families.
That's absolutely amazing. And Jiggersport do a really fantastic job. We are actually in touch with you. JR at the moment, who's in a live stream, is in contact with you guys as we try and develop a kind of bespoke fundraising campaign for different bits of kit. So hopefully we can make that work. So you say that you are working with a reconnaissance team. Do you fly the drones? Do you launch the drones? Do you look after them as a kind of engineer? What's your role, or do you do a bit of everything?
I have a key role in this flying group. I basically launched that from a radio controller. We have a system where one person holds it like that, launches it in the air, and I have to pull throttle. Then I am fully responsible for everything that is happening midair. so that the guy who is operating the camera would have the best angle, and I'm responsible for any kind of repositioning that is happening because we have no GPS. So based on the footage from the drone that we are seeing live, I have to reposition the plane in a way that I can, let's say, direct the antenna towards that, so we would have a stable connection with the drone at a range of 50 kilometers plus, and which is not easy, obviously. And yes, I also land all of the drones that we have, basically take care of all of the piloting. It's called external pilot in Ukrainian military.
Awesome. And tell us a little bit about, you've already mentioned some of the targets you are looking for: logistics, ammo depots, surface-to-air missile systems, and whatnot. What is, and we'll come on to talk about Brave One and that kind of setup in a second. But what for you is, I guess, well, there might be two things here. Personally, what do you most want to find? But also, what are your bosses, kind of what are your commanders most interested in? What's the highest value target?
I think the highest value targets are always anti-air defense complexes like Buk, Strela, Osa, and many others. Also, it's EV complexes, electronic warfare. Russians are having that as a main component of their military. Their idea is that they would roll into the area, jam everything, so no radio or no internet will work. So they would kind of create chaos. So I'm trying to prevent that chaos, and I know firsthand that those EV systems are very and very scary for other drone operators. We are not covered by that as much as others because we have more fancy frequencies, but everything that flies kind of default frequencies, they are suffering a lot, and we are losing a lot of drones because of EV systems. So I think in that sense, my commanders and I myself, we have a very shared understanding. Apart from that, we are always looking on the way to the key zone of interest, like 20, 30 kilometers behind or beyond the front line. We are mostly looking in that kind of logistic route. We are looking for anything that happens under us. So enemy logistics, mostly we in our direction, we find a lot of infantry. They use a lot of motorcycles, quadricycles, and just trying to see the patterns if they are trying to gather in some small village, prepare for any assault, etc., etc. So I
So
think
do you then feed that back to, I presume, your commanders, who then work out whether to use artillery on a target or HIMARS or FPV drones? Is that kind of how it works?
yes, but sometimes we also use our horizontal connections to make that work because, well, let's say if we know some guys they're close to us and they have the firepower to hit the target, we would be happy to give them the live stream and they would well do the job that we
Oh, of
cannot do as
course.
a reconnaissance team. But normally, yes, the process is like that. We do the live stream to our command post, and also this is a live stream that is being shared to all of the units interested in our area, our region. It's publicly available in one of the, well, not publicly, but it's
Yeah.
available in
Is that
one of the
Delta?
systems that we, yes, in Delta ecosystem. And anyone can join and say, hey guys, can you hover here for like 5 more minutes because we have FPV incoming at that target you're looking at, and we would be
Right.
making our combat decisions based on, well, many factors, but wind, battery life, and juiciness of the target, etc., etc. And also we mark all of the targets in that delta. It's like a, I don't know,
Mm.
electronic map kind of a thing
Yeah.
that every guy in the military with the right clearance has access to, and we mark the target with a good picture, with good video attached to it, with the right coordinates, and then if it is not being hit today, it could be hit tomorrow. So
Yeah, so I'm just going to try and show people what Delta system might look like. There's more of a command center version of the Delta system, but you basically it's a whole connection system that allows different units to access all that kind of data live, and you get sort of footage that comes back, and then there are different add-ons to the system that you can have, so it's supposed to be fairly modular and therefore quite adaptable to whatever the needs might be for that. And I think it's at the cutting edge, I think, of I think there are other nations, NATO nations, I think they're even interested in what you guys have done with Delta. So it sounds interesting.
Yep, absolutely. I have a
So
friend who works in the Ministry of Defense. So they're actively right now trying to pitch that system for like a last year or something, trying to pitch that systems to many NATO members, because this is far more advanced than what the NATO countries got right now at the moment.
yeah, excellent. Yeah, really good. So what's the best thing that you have personally been involved in destroying or spotting?
Say it again?
What's the target that you have been involved in spotting that is the most valuable? What's the one thing you're most proud of finding?
I think the air defense piece called Strela 10. You can Google it to
Yeah,
show
no,
it to the people.
it's a short range air defense system,
Yeah.
which I quite often show these getting hit. Let's find that for the audience. Here we go. Yeah, so the Strela 10, that's what it kind of looks like. Is it on a BMP chassis
Yeah,
or
or
MTLB? It was
even
MTLB chassis.
MTLB.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So that's effectively kind of almost like man pads on the top of there, man portable air defense systems. It's that kind of
Yeah.
range system. Is
Yeah,
that right?
yeah, you're right
Yeah.
here. Yeah. But normally we find the artillery pieces, D30, Koksan. We have some of them in our area, the North Korean one. So
Wow, the M1989 Coxswain, the
yeah,
self-propelled. Yeah. Wow,
yeah.
let's have a look at that. Yeah, so that is the North Korean um, self-propelled gun, which has been seen up in Kursk a lot more, but now you're seeing it down not in Kursk in sort of Ukraine itself.
In Donetsk area, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Wow. Cool.
yeah.
So that's what you're most happy with having found is air defense systems.
Mhm.
You are operating a fixed wing reconnaissance drone. Is that correct? Do you operate a variety of drones depending on what you need, or do you just have your one main kind of go-to drone?
We have our main thing, but also as an alternative, if anything happens to that complex, we have some other stuff that we could use. It has different jobs, different range, but still has its purpose, I would say. But normally we have our like a flagship kind of a drone, and then everything else.
Is
And
that the
if
Shark drone, or is it another type?
it's another, but it's smaller. And also, if we need to put that into service or anything like happen to that, or we are not sure about the technical difficulties that we were having mid-flight or anything, we would just be flying something else. So no
Yeah,
breaks. Like if it breaks, we still be working daily, but with the just
yeah.
with the other tool, right?
And so, do you plan on getting that drone back every time you use it?
Yes, quite usually yes. And normally we do not expect that we lose the drone itself, even though we at the moment have a huge amount of air defense FPV drones, Russian drones flying in the area. So it's always a big risk for the drone. And recently we had some of our sharks hit with the Russian FPV drones in the area near Donetsk. So it's
What
rather
what's the percentage chance of your reconnaissance drone getting hit? Do you reckon in every will it last 10 missions?
yes, yes, absolutely. Some of
Oh wow.
our drones lasted hundreds of missions.
Oh wow. Because
I
it's
mean, it's expensive, so it's not smart to lose it every time.
yeah. Well, you hear that some of the, I mean, one of the claims I heard recently with, I was discussing this um, with someone else, was that some of the Russian drones are now seen as one-way drones, the reconnaissance drones, because the
Yeah.
Ukrainians done a really good job of intercepting the drones, so that they kind of write them off. We're going to just send them in once. It's probably going to get taken down,
Yeah.
so we just get as much information as we can. But obviously, there's an asymmetry there. There's a difference between the Ukrainian defenses and Russian defenses. Are they not? Do you think Ukraine are better at intercepting things like reconnaissance drones?
At the moment, absolutely yes, but in our direction, we have some of very prominent Russian groups that are very quick in adopting the technologies that we have created and scaling them in Russian forces. So at the moment, in our direction, we have a lot of anti-air or interceptor FPV drones from Russian forces, which is not
Well,
surprising.
yeah. So interesting. So what are the most prominent ways that the Russians are intercepting your drones at the moment, your reconnaissance drones? Is it by using interceptor drones or air defense?
The question was, what was the most common reason for losing the drone, or?
For losing your drones.
Yeah, well, it could be any kind of starting from any malfunction because it's still a piece of technology and technology always fails, even if we do all of the pre-flight checks. But yeah, first I would go with electronic warfare because sometimes both friendly and enemy, because sometimes we are flying into the area of interest with like 20 minutes of no signal from the drone because it's being heavily jammed, and well, nothing you could do about this. You could jump all of the channels and so on, but the whole spectrum of your frequencies is being jammed, so nothing you can do here. But once you fly maybe like 30 kilometers away from the front line, it's getting better. So there is
Really?
that kind of a challenge. But
So actually,
then
so
there is,
the main challenge is getting through that 30 kilometers, and once you're through that 30 kilometers, then you feel a lot safer.
yes, actually, sometimes in some of the flights we say that the Ukrainian side that we have to pass through is more dangerous to us because of electronic warfare.
Your own electronic warfare.
Say it again?
Is that your own electronic warfare
Yes,
that's a
yes,
problem?
yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes,
yeah.
yes, because they are heavily using this. I kind of understand why it is such a big issue and why they are jamming everything that they can see, because there is a huge amount of Russian guided bombs falling
Mm,
onto our cities, positions, and they are jamming the signal from them. And also, they are spoofing the GPS for those guided bombs and fucking up their compasses that are inside those
mm,
guided bombs. So it makes total sense. I would be happily losing a drone a day or something if that helps save any Ukrainian infantry position from that guided bomb, which
yeah.
is 500 kilogram of explosive. It's
Mm,
not pretty.
no. And have you noticed that they are using on guided glide bombs? Have you noticed that they're using these FAB or CAB bombs more or less at the moment? Are they
More.
increasing or decreasing? Are they increasing still?
Oh, yes, in our direction is every day, and we hear them, we feel them, and it's, I think, one of the scariest tools in this war because you never know whether it's gonna hit it, and there is no way for you to hide against that. So it's very problematic, I would say. And the way that Russians have mastered mass production of those is just insane. Sad.
Yeah, that is been it's been one of the big problems for an awful long time, and I guess you know you want to try and hit the manufacturing plants, which Ukraine are trying hard to do. And we hear of so many attempts and successes even of taking out a variety of manufacturing facilities at the moment. When they're up in the air, I mean, the other thing is take out the airplanes. But once they're up in the air, there's not a lot, I guess, you can do about them. You can spoof them a little bit, but those things are still going to fall down somewhere.
Yep.
So they're still going to be dangerous. Yeah, it's very difficult to shoot to do anything in terms of intercepting a massive freaking
Mm,
bomb coming down. You're not doing
no,
that.
no way, no way, no
Yeah.
way. And it's actually very scary to feel one landing next to you. I mean, it's the land vibrates so much, and you rethink your whole life in those few seconds. Well, you can hear it
Jesus. Yeah.
when it's incoming. The closest I had, I think, it was like 500 meters or something, left enormous crater, and we just got lucky that we were under the ground level, like we were outside but under the ground level, and the how do you call it, shockwave, it
Yeah.
pushed all we felt all the leaves and sticks from the trees being pushed by that enormous shockwave. And well, if we wouldn't be under the ground level, all of that would be inside our bodies, so which is suboptimal.
Wow.
So it's very scary.
Yeah, that's insane. So with regard to your reconnaissance drones, what do you think is the biggest what if you were to improve your drone now that you have, the one that you're going to use tomorrow, would you want it to have a greater range, a longer battery life, or better electronic warfare resistance?
Um, I would actually, well, we already did a lot of modification to that, and the fact that it still flies after all of the modifications that I've did to that is a go to me. We've increased the battery life by like 50%,
Wow.
by putting an enormously stupidly bigger battery inside, and it still flies and does the reconnaissance. Also, we have changed the kind of uh, brought the enormously long cable, like Ethernet cable for the antenna. So now the antenna is like hundreds of meters away from us, which makes it less of a factor to find us. And he also did a lot of other modifications to it.
So
So it's not
that sorry,
vanilla, it's
let's
not stock
to
already.
explain that, just to explain that,
Yeah.
sorry, that part that you said. So when you're operating it, you because they can detect using anti-radiation missiles, I presume, your antenna, you want the antenna to be as far away from you as possible, and still, so you
Mm,
have like hardwired 100 meters or so worth, right? Does that make sense? Is that
yeah.
what? Is that right?
Yeah, and also this is a way to hide yourself from other from Russian reconnaissance drones work, because they are actively looking for us. There is some kind of counter battery warfare going on, and we are very actively looking for them. This is one of the best targets that we actually could find. So by having your antenna far, far away from you, you kind of hide yourself. I guess that is the word. And apart from these modifications, I would also want to have manual control when I'm in the ground control station. I would love to have the control right from the controller, so I could connect that joystick to like computer, and through the antenna it would send the signal directly to the drone, so it could turn right as I turn the joystick or something. But right now we only have suggested that to the manufacturer. The main reason for that is that we want to be protected anyhow against FPV drones, because we had some of those cases recently. And I know perfectly that there is a tactic that I could use if I know that there is some FPV drone in the area trying to hunt our drone down. I would just nose dive, basically trade my altitude for speed. and for FPV interceptor, it would be hard to chase me. And I know that they have also limited battery life. So if I would have manual control over the drone, that would be just great. I would actually go for this. Against electronic warfare, there is no way to defend yourself because still, apart from just putting some 100-kilometer wire or something in optic fiber, and or regarding battery life, I think. It's kind of a complex thing. Obviously, all of us would want to have unlimited battery life, but at the same time, it comes with a trade-off between aerodynamics, the weight, the complexity of the system, the size of the system that you have to bring at your position. Some drones, let's say Mini Shark, they could be carried in just 2 backpacks, and only 2 people could operate this complex. So you can get really sneaky with that, like literally a special operations kind of tool. But some drones, let's say ACS-3, Ukrainian drone with a big how do you call it, petrol engine in it. It's ridiculously big. So having that in your truck or trying to hide that somewhere in the forest is almost impossible. You'll get spotted. So a whole lot of trade-offs. Yep. I'm afraid you have lost me. All right, so Jonathan says that his internet going down, so I'll be your host then for the next some minutes. Let me know if you can still see
Yeah,
me.
I can see you now. I have no idea what happened there. My whole house's internet just disappeared. I'm so sorry about that. You were even more reliable as internet than me, I presume. Were you still happily talking to the audience then? Can you hear me? Are you there? Oh my goodness, this is one of the nightmare streams of connectivity. Um, I have lost Dimko now by the looks of it. Are you there, Dimko?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Oh, brilliant.
Absolutely, I am.
Fabulous. Well, I still have an audience, so that's pretty incredible. They're very forgiving. So I can't even remember where we were. So I think I was asking, I don't know if you answered this, and I don't know if the audience could hear you, but do you need any extra and range on your drones?
Extra range is always good, but it really depends. It's kind of a complex. When you're flying a reconnaissance drone, you're always making the trade-offs between, well, the size of the system, the weight of the drone, the aerodynamics of it, the battery life, and a lot of other aspects, and also the landing procedure, because in many cases drones are being lost to the landing procedure. Some drones are landing as a plane does. So basically, you
Right.
see a field and you crash your drone right into that field, right? Some of the drones have parachute systems. Some of the drones have a vertical landing system, like a quadrocopter or something. So it's always a trade-off between all of those aspects. I think finding the balance is the key here.
So
And also, just to add another bit here, uh, also there is an aspect of, let's say we're flying like 30, 50 kilometers from the front line into Russian territory. And most of the time, there is not enough firepower to hit all of the targets that we find. Actually, to be quite frank, from like 10 targets that we find, only 1 or 2 get hit.
really,
So
that's a
there
really
is,
fascinating statistic.
yeah. and there is just not enough tools in Ukraine that could hit, let's say, 30 kilometers away from the front line. Well,
So
so
are you pulling on what, I mean, what are you using your units there at the moment to hit something in the 30 to 50 kilometer range? Is that a guided multiple launch system, or is it a very extended range artillery piece?
Uh, we very rarely see extended that big artillery pieces here, but we sometimes work with HIMARS, and also we work with Ukrainian different type of Ukrainian drones that are basically a drone with 3 or 5 kilograms of explosive mounted to it, fixed wing or something like it, with a red translator up in the air, which allows them to have like 40, 50 kilometers range in total. Also, we sometimes work with switchblades, the
Right.
switchblade 600 or something.
600, yeah. Yeah, so what they I can't remember the range of the Switchblade 600, but they're the anti-armor ones that are actually becoming quite well respected. There were some issues with them, I think, at the beginning of the war. There's a lot of Switchblade 300s that weren't very useful at all. They were like just basically a hand grenade. They
Yeah.
packed not enough punch there. And that's what they're designed for, anti-personnel. But as far as hitting things at a greater distance with a bit more punch, you need the 600. Interesting. So you use a variety of things, most predominantly other types of drones to hit those targets
Yes,
in that kind of
yes,
range.
absolutely. Absolutely.
And what role does AI play in reconnaissance, and also just in general, as what you understand from maybe FPV drones and other types of drones?
In most of the tools, I mean, the fire tools that we work with, they have some system of last mile kind of guiding. But to be quite frank, I do not really see that as 100% success or something. It's very and very far from ideal, even well-respected companies in that area. And most of the time, actually, they miss. And it's not only the AI targeted drones, I mean, the last mile things, but also the drones that are being piloted by the pilots to the right to the last second. And the reasons for that, I think, well, it's just as they are not ideal yet, not enough training data, and they have still to get better. Hope that will change. And apart from that, we also use AI to in all of our live streams that we do to Delta, we have a system in there that helps identify the um, things that we find. Let's say we are
Mm.
looking at a car driving or like a motorcycle, so it automatically identifies, frames it, makes kind of a help us make a picture of it, and then our job is to find the coordinates for that piece that AI has captured. So it's well, making our job at least a bit easier, and also helps us when we are
I've lost you. I don't know if the audience has lost you again. Um, I'm sure you'll come back in a short
is
while.
one of the KPIs
Oh,
that we are
s
looking at.
sorry, I couldn't hear you there. So last I heard is it AI makes your job a little bit easier, and
Yeah, yeah.
then what did you say?
Yeah, yeah. So, when we're looking at the stream footage in between flights, we also have to mark all of the objects that we have found, and this is one of the KPIs that we are working towards, like the amount of objects found, types of those objects, and whether that was hit or not. So, a whole array of things actually that we're looking at here. Yeah, but
In
definitely with the help of AI, it's making our job a bit easier, but not tremendously.
Okay, interesting. So, like, I guess it's making the job of like analyzing the data easier, but maybe not so much your operations from sort of flying and whatnot. What about mothership drones? Do you have any experience of them, or knowing whether they are becoming more prevalent?
In our specific unit, we haven't used it, and generally do not really see a lot of potential in it, given that we can just fly our strike drones 30, 40, 50 kilometers into Russian territory, like no problem at all. And there is no such a big range problem. But at the same time, I know that specifically in our direction, in Donetsk area, Russians are using some of the Molnia drones
Yeah.
as mothership. So basically, FPV or given a ride for FPV drone, so it doesn't waste so much of a battery. So let's say it could land at like 20 kilometers away from the front line on Ukrainian side, and just wait patiently for any Ukrainian truck or any interesting vehicle to arrive to hit it. And we have seen those things ourselves firsthand too. So it's real, and the area from like 0 kilometers from the front line to like 20 is quite dangerous at the moment, and it's getting even more and more dangerous. And I think by the end of the year, we'll be looking at like 30 kilometers something, because if our side can do strikes into Russian territory 30 kilometers deep from the front line, then they could do exactly the same. And throughout the world,
Yeah.
they have been very consistent in replicating what we do.
Yeah, I've talked about this an awful lot. Which either side, if one of the sides gets an advantage in terms of some technological um, innovation or scale or whatever it is, then the other side is going to be trying to copy that, and it's just a matter of time. It's not like you can stop that from happening. So if you have the control of some area due to the prevalence of some type of drone, then you can bet that the Russians are going to be there at some point. But so I know we talked about this a little bit before. Where are the major advantages in terms of drones that the Ukrainians? What's the major advantage that you guys are enjoying at the moment, or advantages? How are you guys better than the Russians, or and also how are the Russians better than you?
I think we are at the moment far better in the interceptor field, and we are having enormous lead in unmanned ground vehicles actually, and there are
Really?
some
So
very
the Russians started with the advantage in UGVs, but then I think you guys as a defense military industrial kind of base just started to go to town on that. That's fascinating. Did,
Mhm.
did you
Yep.
get so you sorry, I interrupted you. So you were saying that you guys have got the advantage now in UGVs, in unmanned ground vehicles, and
Yeah.
what other advantages do you have? Interceptors, UGVs.
Yeah, I think in terms of the drones, generally, I think this is it. And also, generally, the ecosystem, the whole Delta part, I think it's enormous. And the amount of data that we get from there is insane. Like, recently, we have been on a position, the guy next to us in the next dugout, he was intercepting the video from FPVs that were flying in the area. So basically, we were able to see the analog video from Russian FPV drones flying onto our positions. And the whole fact that it is accessible for us in Delta, that we can see that footage, understand where the enemy drone is flying, is insane. Um, so I would definitely highlight this part. And
Mm.
also, in terms of where we actually suck, I think that Russians are far superior in terms of uh, reconnaissance drones. And because they have been cranking at that field for like 15 years, and they have whole um, military industrial complex working for them, doing those OR-1s,
So
Supercam,
it's
and so on and
not
so
that they're
forth.
better drones, but they just have produced more of them. Is that
Yeah,
fair?
yes, yes, definitely more of them. And actually, I mean, in the end, those drones are expendable. As you mentioned, sometimes they can even send that on a one-way mission, whatever. But in that aspect, their drones are quite good. And the fact that some time ago we had those drones hovering over Dnipro, Kharkiv, like hundreds kilometers away from the front line, it's it's very problematic, I would say. And the fact that we do not have such an ability is problematic too. So we are
As in,
mostly
as in,
focused.
you just don't have enough of these reconnaissance drones and
Yeah,
drone
yeah,
teams.
yeah, yes, exactly. And well, we would be able to fly those sharks, let's say, over Donetsk any day, but we are 100% sure that maybe we would be able to pull such a mission like 5 times. By right after like fifth time, it would be over. Like the drones would get intercepted, and the chance of getting it back safely is very low, I would say. So
And you need those drones back more than the Russians need their own
yes,
drones back
yes,
more.
yes, 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 exactly, because our production is far more limited than Russian one.
Right. Yeah. What a shame. And in terms of FPV drones, do you guys still have the advantage in the number of FPV drones that you have compared to the Russians? I know that was a case at one point, although fiber optics might be different.
Well, I think it really depends on the unit, but in our specific battalion, we do not really have a big shortage of drones. And
Mm.
you have mentioned that system with E points, where you can basically kill a Russian, get more drones for your next mission. I think it works quite well for us.
So for you, sorry, I think your sound's gone for me again, but
That
uh,
Russians have
oh right.
shitload of drones to throw at us. So.
So I missed that. Are you saying that the Russians have a lot of drones, FPV
Yeah,
drones?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I think
yeah.
in some way we have parity in that aspect because they have launched their military industrial complex to build FPV drones now. It's normal now for them. And in our case, we have so many of different little firms, companies building them, and they are also government contracted too. So, but definitely, it's like ammo in war, right? If you can never have enough bullets, right?
Yeah, yeah. So when it comes to the E points in this Brave One system, where you can generate points to, um, you have Robert Brovdi, who's a new leader of Magyar, the new leader of the Unmanned Systems Forces, has this process in place whereby you give evidence of what you've destroyed, and then that gets you points, and then they can change the point value of the things that they want to have destroyed more of. So, for example, enemy drone units are now operators are now like really high value as far as I understand, because that's what you really want to be taking them out.
Yeah.
Has that, first of all, has that been an actual motivator? Has that worked to get you to work harder and better to get more points? And secondly, how does it work with reconnaissance over and above like destroying?
hmm So generally, it is a great motivator. At the same time, it worked well to more fairly, I guess, distribute the drones in the system because there is a limited amount of them. And when we're talking the reconnaissance, our job, well, it doesn't really depend on those FPV drones. If we lose our drone, the government is probably just gonna buy us another one, no matter what, if we're not stupid, if the reason for losing that wasn't stupid. But so basically, our drones are not as expendable as FPV drones. But for the FPV groups, they are quite critical. So our job is to highlight the targets, let's say, for them, because it only counts when it's on video or something. Our job, if we see some juicy target, the guys would try to hit it, let's say in 20 kilometers away from the front line, the guys would try to hit it, and we'll be happy if we help them highlight the big boom that they have missed or got the target in. So our job is quite simple here.
Awesome. And can you give us any indication of how like difficult things are on the front line at the moment? So Donetsk is moving to a sort of operational understanding of what's going on the front line. I know you obviously can't say too much probably, but like Donetsk seems to be a bit challenging, should we say? So from south of Pokrovsk, there's a lot of movement. The Karakova area, then the Velika Novosilka, those kind of areas, the Russians seem to be making really consistent advances. Is this something that is what the Ukrainians have planned for, rather than like, it's actually no, we will give up land and we'll bleed the Russians, and it's kind of more organized, or is it just really bloody challenging, or both?
I am actually in that direction, in Kurachovo direction, and I am seeing those advances myself every day when we are flying over those areas. The least I can say is that all of those cities and villages, they are so depopulated and destroyed. Each day they are being tens of guided bombs on those cities. All of the assaults are non-mechanized assaults in those areas, and it really boils down to um, hand-to-hand combat and villages between the infantry, both sides supported by FPV drones. And actually operating FPV drones in those areas is very challenging because, let's say, in one house you have Ukrainian infantry sitting in there, and right in the next house, you have Russian infantry sitting in there, and both
Wow.
trying to assault each other. So you need to have a very good precision when doing those strikes in there. Same goes with the artillery, and with FPV drones, as you know, it is impossible to have 100% precision because of the radio signal jamming, of the because of the way that radio signal works, that you if you do not have a straight line for radio signal, you lose the signal and you cannot give any command to a drone, which is troublesome because it might load over Ukrainian house or something. So fighting there is very problematic, I would say. Go on.
Do you also get a lag when you're operating, time lag, so that, because I was wondering in Operation Spiderweb, where they were having these drones that are flying over the air bases, and I presume controlling them from back in Ukraine, but there'll be a lag possibly in what they can see and where the drone actually is, and that might mean it's quite difficult. You can end up missing targets because you need to take into account that lag. Is that a reality?
I wouldn't say so. In reality, that lag is very small. In
Oh,
reality, when we are flying our drone in, let's say, 50 kilometers or something, the lag is in milliseconds. It's not like in
wow,
seconds, even.
wow.
I mean, the
That's
radio signal, radio waves, they are quite fast.
Yeah, yeah. Interesting. And so, so going back to the sort of frontline situation, like, what's your general thoughts about how things are going, and the front line, and your prospects going forward?
Mm, I think either I lost you or you lost
Okay,
me.
yeah, I'll repeat that. So, what are your general thoughts in terms of frontline, as to how you guys are doing, where things are at, and also where things are going? How do you feel at the moment?
Mm, Troublesome. I every day see those destroyed villages. I understand that it's impossible to do any fighting in there. I understand that is quite problematic for us to run any successful offensive in the area. I am happy that we are not conducting any offensive. I agree that we should be just rolling backwards with inflicting as much losses as we can to the Russian forces. The advances that they have, that are being made with enormous losses in each assault. All of the assaults in the area that I am at, they are basically small groups of infantry on motorcycles or something, no heavy mechanized or tanks or BMPs or anything, nothing like that. So very bloody for the Russian forces because let's say if they are launching an 100 people assault at us at some day to take, let's say, Yalta or Zaporizhia. You can look at the map, not the big Zaporizhia, but Zaporizhia in Donetsk
The
region.
little, yeah,
So they are launching 100 people at those Ukrainian infantry guys sitting in the village, and maybe like 20 of them actually get to that village. Because to get to the village, you have at least to kind of a logistics kind of a thing where they ride those motorcycles, get droned by FPV guys, and get killed by the artillery. And actually, maybe like 20% of them get to exactly the village where they have to fight. But still, those 20 people, they are so motivated to actually fight in there because they know if they well they know that there is no way back for them because
mm,
the way back would mean that they would again get hit by those FPV drones, and if by some chance they get back, they'll be thrown in a pit and be humiliated, tortured by their own commanders, which is leaving them with an obvious choice: a fight till you die, and they 100% realize that they are gonna be dead in some days. So it's very depressing, I would say.
yeah. It reminds me of Bakhmut, which is like if I go backwards, I get killed by my commanders and barrier troops, and it is horrific. If I stay here, I'm going to die. If I run forward, I've got at least some chance of winning and taking land. So that's kind of the motivation to keep on going, because actually is the highest probability of surviving. Like weirdly,
Yeah.
yeah, incredible. So have you seen a massive shift in the equipment that is being used, and is that because the Russians are seriously running out of equipment, and are they using motorcycles because they've run out of equipment but now getting an advantage from them? That's how I understand it. Would that be about right?
Mm. I would actually understand that there is a shift in tactics because they have realized that it works better.
Yeah,
First, people in their case, they're expendable, and all of those motorcycles, they cost nothing. All of those pickup trucks, they cost nothing, and people lives to them, they cost nothing. And by some crazy chance, it is far more complicated to hit a motorcycle guy with a FPV drone than it is to hit a tank. So
yeah,
it works better, and it's actually much cheaper if we are taking the production cost for like any Russian tank, T-80 or something, and try to compare that with the sign-up bonus money for 100 Russian soldiers, and a cost of training them and equipping them with motorcycles and AK-12s. I think they are even more feasible, like economically. And Ukraine or any other kind of Western or Christian country or
I've
in the war. And there are some hundreds, thousands of Russian idiots who are willing to uh, go to Ukraine to be in such situation, to be driving a motorcycle, trying to assault Ukrainian destroyed villages, to just be killed there in a matter of some days. So there is no
yeah,
shortage of people trying to do that.
yeah. sadly enough. But yeah, and we're just waiting for that critical moment when it comes where you know they start running out of people, but it still doesn't seem to be hugely a problem for the Russians at the moment, able to throw more and more. Do you hear anything? I mean, do you have any hint of how things are going? And because the Russians are supposed to be mounting this big offensive at the moment, this is the prime time. It's summer. You think, you know, Sumy is possibly the place where they're putting a lot of pressure on. But actually, I'm not sure that the Russians have really got enough to throw at the Ukrainians in a major offensive kind of way. Is that a fair enough assessment?
Yeah, I would actually agree to this. And I have some friends also flying similar drones in Kursk area. And well, seemingly Russians just do not have enough both manpower, anything that they need for mechanized breakthrough. So if they try to focus their attention on Kursk area, they'll just be throwing shitload of guided bombs onto the villages that border with Ukraine and push out Ukrainian forces from there slowly, village by village, the same way they do in Donetsk region. And I would generally describe the situation as bloody stalemate, where Russia is losing like 10x, tenfold more people in this fight, but they are still in the fight because it is too costly for them to go back. And they are, at least in our area, they are doing the assaults almost every day, especially when the weather is bad. I mean, when it's cloudy, when it's raining, is the best weather for them to do any assaults.
Actually, you just reminded me of one of the main questions I was going to ask you about your own fixed wing drone usage, which is what's the worst for you? Is it clouds? Is it wind? Is it rain? You know, or all of them?
Sorry.
Sorry, I'll ask that again. What's worse for you? Is it clouds, rain, wind, or all of the above? What really
Mhm.
is your enemy in terms of weather?
I would say rain, rain. And if the cloud base is very low, obviously it is impossible to fly a reconnaissance drone at the height of, I don't know, 200 meters or something, because you'll just get destroyed from AKs.
Yeah.
But at the same time, rain is big no-go because if the raindrop hits the camera, it would be impossible to see anything through that lens. It's not like any electronics are gonna blow off or something, but it's more of a the flight is pointless if you cannot see anything, right?
Right.
And the wind is also a challenge because no wind is a challenge when there is no wind at, let's say, 1,000 or 2,000 meters. And also, it's a big challenge when there is wind because the
Why is it a
drone
challenge if
gets
there's no wind?
because the I don't know how it's called in English, but the that kind of physical power that lifts drone up and keeps in the air or the plane, it doesn't work properly without the wind. So
Is
to
that
fly,
like
you need a
is it
wind.
the bluey or what's it called? But yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, basically. I just don't know the English word for this. But when it's enormously big wind, like 20 meters a second, almost no drone can fly. And also on the Russian side too. Their limit is about 15, I guess. If there is 15 meters per second at 1,000 meters altitude, almost no Russian drone will fly in such a weather.
Wow.
Same goes for Ukrainian side too. So there are
Yeah.
aerodynamics difficulties.
Yeah. Absolutely. I've got a couple of questions just, you know, before we kind of wrap things up. Johnny Nedregard says, Dimko, do you have one camera for navigation and one for target spotting?
I would wish that we would have a camera for navigation. So based on, let's say, we'll be pointing directly towards the Earth,
Yeah.
and we would be looking at what we are flying, above, and by such, some kind of smart AI would help us identify the exact coordinates where we at. But at the moment, we're just using the one same camera for doing well, spotting the targets, and at the same time for navigating ourselves. Basically, we look at the image from the camera and see, hey, there is that river, it has a specific pattern to it, and we know where we at. So we reposition ourselves on the map, and we know where to point the directional antenna, so we could have a very stable link with the plane. Yeah, but that
Yeah.
would be a great development.
Yeah. And what size frame is the most commonly used frame for FPV drones, kamikaze drones?
I think now it's about 10 inch.
10 inches. I
Uh,
always find it funny when inches are used, like the only things they use for are like monitor screens and frames for FPV drones. But yeah,
Yeah, weird measure types coming
yeah,
from weird countries. What the
yeah,
fuck is a
yeah.
kilometer?
Yeah, yeah. And also we have one here. I see that jamming rigs need immense power to have long reach, not so easy to do. So AI can beat them, and so can fiber, and so can laser con drone. I mean, so this is more a comment about the power required for electronic warfare. Is this an issue? Is the needing that much power, and is using that much power, does it make, I don't know, electronic warfare easier to spot? Is it the more powerful the electronic warfare is, the bigger footprint it has? Tell us a little bit about that.
Mm, basically, with the electronic warfare, yes, you need enormous amount of power. So therefore, Russians are normally using big machines with shitload of power to those systems, which makes it easier to spot. Regarding the laser technology, I think it's similar because it needs a whole lot of energy too to produce that such a strong laser beam that would, I don't know, blind the lens of a camera or something. Probably I just do not have enough expertise in like the physical details of how much of a power they need.
Yeah,
Um, didn't
but they
really
certainly need
research
a
that.
lot. Yeah,
Sorry, can't answer.
yeah, no problem. And here we have Thomas Patton saying, are there any acoustic homing interceptor drones? So, listening out for the sound of drones being one way of finding enemy drones. Is that something that's used at all?
Yes, and same goes with the artillery. We quite oftenly use data from acoustic detectors to figure out from where the artillery is firing at the Ukrainian position to then find the artillery. Same goes with the drones. It's very similar. You
Yeah,
can
interesting.
more or less track the path of the drone to find the location where operators are stationed.
Yeah, amazing. Well, look, you are. I'm just going to show your Twitter handle, Twitter page here. You can follow Dimko Tenko on Twitter, and
Mm,
he's quite
I
active
think
there.
I'm again missing the.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me, Dimko? I'm saying how wonderful you are. Can you not hear that? Dimko, are you there? Um, you have just a big black screen there. Can you hear me at all? It's dark where you are. Um, I don't know if he can hear me. He obviously can't. So I'm just going to keep speaking because that's something I know how to do. Uh, so you can follow Dimko Tenko on Twitter. He's active there and
I
well
don't
worth.
know. I don't know. Can you still see me?
I can sort of see you. I mean, it's pretty dark there where you are. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Can you
Oh,
still see
hello.
me?
Yes, I
I
can.
have
You are
literally no
sideways.
idea if you can, but
Yes, I can.
anyway, still hear me,
If
still see me?
yes, I can. I can see you and hear you. I was just saying, but obviously you can't hear me
Technology.
speak. about how Dimko has a book that's coming out. I don't think it's out yet. I think it's slated now for the end of June. It's been delayed a little
Um,
bit. So it's called Ordinary Guy at War. And keep an eye out for that. So he's hopefully going to give you.
I'm just hoping that you can still hear me.
I can hear you, indeed. This is correct. But it makes communication quite difficult when you can't hear me. Um, and I was also going to speak to you about another couple of
Probably not
things.
hear me, right? I'll try to reconnect.
I can hear you. Okay. He's going to try and reconnect. What I wanted to speak to the rest of the audience about as he tries to reconnect, so we can sort of wrap things up, I guess. Like I was just looking online as to what was happening in the world concerning the war in Ukraine before I came on, and this was pretty damned disturbing. Can you hear me at all, Dimko?
Yep.
Oh,
Actually, I
that's
can, and I'm happy that
brilliant.
I can.
Brilliant. I was just talking about your book before I get on to what I was just about to say. So, can you tell us something about your book?
Yep, absolutely. Basically, before I joined the military about 1 year ago, I wrote a book, found a publisher to actually publish it, and by the end of this month, we are looking at releasing that in the wild. It's a book about basically the experiences of an ordinary Ukrainian that comes to the military to join the war effort to defend his home, defend his family, his country, and by some chance it happened to be me. Also describe some of the Ukrainian history based on my family, because some of my family was born in Siberia because we were deported there. Also describe some of the wild war situation that helped me make that decision to, well, go and fight in combat role to never let Russians rule over your home. Well, that's kind of the idea.
Awesome. Well, brilliant. Well, let us know when that comes out. I think I saw somewhere you're saying it's slated for the 30th of June now. Is that correct?
Exactly, right at the end of this month.
Yeah. Awesome. The only thing I was just this is just a bit topical, but this had happened just before we went live. I just want to get your opinion on the kind of geopolitical situation just quickly. So President
Mhm.
Trump is at the G7 in Canada, and he's saying just utterly ridiculous things again. The quote here is G7 used to be the G8, but Barack Obama and a person named Trudeau didn't want to have Russia in. And I would say that was a mistake. I think we wouldn't have a war right now if we had Russia in, and we wouldn't have a war right now if Trump were president 4 years ago, because he doesn't seem to understand that the reason they were kicked out of the G8 was precisely because there was the war that's still ongoing and has been ongoing since 2014. This is just an abject lack of knowledge about what's going on and the desire for Trump to make himself look awesome, and anything bad that ever happens is not his fault, and anything good that ever happens is his fault. They threw Russia out, he said, which I claimed was a very big mistake. Even though I wasn't in politics then, I was very loud about it. We spend so much time talking about Russia, and he's no longer at the table. But as Anton Gerashenko says, no, Russia was removed from the G8 in March 2014 after its illegal annexation of Crimea. I mean, what's your opinion of, as a Ukrainian fighter, when you were enjoying at least, a considerable amount of aid from the US? We can pick holes in, what you got and when you got it, etc., etc. But you were getting stuff like Trump said $300 billion worth. I mean, it's not nearly that, but it was a considerable amount of aid. And now, in fact, the Kiel Institute stats are now coming out, and you're basically getting absolutely nothing from the United States. What's your view of Trump from a Ukrainian on the front line?
Mm, I'm just gonna say that I am not surprised by any of his statements, and I think he has been quite straightforward about his intentions with this war. And I think in many ways It is going against actually American values of defending your home, defending your freedom, defending your family. And I think he even knows it. And he also knows that a substantial amount of Americans support Ukraine's fight for defense to defend your home. But at the same time, he doesn't really care. And he got into the government and he now does all of the most stupid things that make America weak. In many ways, they have missed the historic opportunity to actually learn from the most advanced warfare the world has ever seen. And they have lost the opportunity to learn from Ukrainians on what was happening here, which makes America weaker again. Mm, I think it is fair to say that we shouldn't be really counting on the United States as key player in this war. It's obvious that Ukraine cannot hold Russia by itself. Economically, militarily, it is almost impossible. And what we're seeing at the moment, that kind of bloody stalemate that we have talked about, is the miracle made by Ukraine's defense forces and all of the allies that have made that possible. If not for the military aid to Ukraine, if not for the economic aid to Ukraine, well, Russia would be just capturing Ukrainian cities and turning them and as colonies, to then wage a war against, let's say, Baltics or Poland or anything like this. So it's not pretty. But I think just Trump doesn't really understand all of the risks involved in Ukraine falling. And I would say that this scenario is quite realistic. If Ukraine is abandoned without enough ammo, um, it's quite realistic.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It's so frustrating, so frustrating. Well, look,
Yep.
is there anything else you wanted to add? Is there anything else you wanted to talk about at all?
Yeah, actually, I would like to add that apart from what we have talked about and on things that I have mentioned in terms of UJVs, in terms of interceptor drones, I also run a smaller YouTube channel in my free time here. And I would be very happy if more people could learn about this. I will be this week. I'll be publishing more videos specifically about UJVs, about how one of Ukrainian units, Hartia, they made a completely unmanned operation to evacuate one of their wounded guys 12-kilometer deep. And another video that I am releasing is um, basically on my experience, on my own experience as a drone operator, escaping from interceptor drones that we had specifically in my flight. Yeah, so I would be very happy and glad to see more great people
What's
and
the
more
name of
great
what's
minds.
your name of your channel? And by the way,
It's
was it this drone? Was this the UGV that or was it a different one?
uh,
Because this is
let me
one where
see.
an injured guy was driven back on the back of this drone.
Maybe it might be, but it seems a video from K2, right? And I have
Oh,
seen the
right,
video from Hartia.
right,
Hartia
okay,
is also very big in terms of UJVs. The name
yeah.
of the channel is Liber Ukraine. Liber Ukraine.
Liber Ukraine. So
Yep.
I forthwith ask every single person here to go and subscribe to Liber Ukraine. He has 15 videos there, and he's going to be producing more as the weeks go by. So please support him as he documents what's going on from a sort of drone point of view. That's awesome. So
Uh,
good luck with that one, mate.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. Thank you, everyone who have tuned in to this live stream. even despite all of the internet and connectivity issues that have stayed with us. Peace to you all, people, freedom to you all, and happy to share my experience and my knowledge here. Lovely.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Well, look, just before you go, thank you very much to Kevin Forst, who supported the channel with some memberships. Thank you, mate. Always a pleasure. And Michael Future as well, who's done so too. So really appreciate both of you guys. Go and check out Liber Ukraine, Dimko's YouTube channel. Of course, there's Jigger's Paw, which is their him and Irina, who I've spoken to on the channel previously, the amazing work that those guys do. I'm very sorry that my internet cut out. It wasn't Dimko's, it was mine that bloody cut out, and I'm not living on the front line. But there you go. Look, mate, just all the very best to you. And anytime you want to come on and have a chat about anything, please just shout. I'll platform you in any way. If you want to talk about your book, if you want to talk about your YouTube channel, that's fine, because we can always talk about your experiences that you're having on the front line, talk about the tech that you're involved in, and it's always going to be fascinating. So look, thanks, mate. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, sir, and happy to be of help in here. Happy that I have such a friend.
Yeah,
Great.
awesome stuff. Well, you take care, dude. I really appreciate it. And Slava Ukraini.
Yeah, heroям slava. Talk to you later. See ya.
Take care, bud. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Fantastic. So thank you to Dimko there, and thank you to all of you guys in the live chat who are still here and have gone through technological issues there. Thank you for the support for the channel. Just really quickly, I know you might have seen the changes to the thumbnails at the moment. We're just trying to play around with making things clearer, a bit more visual, a bit more dynamic, attracting more viewers to the channel, all that kind of stuff. But they need an overhaul because my YouTube thumbnail creative skills have been 3 years of poor rubbishness. So thank you to Benny Pie, who's really helping with that. He's doing an amazing job in getting some change on that front. And we're playing around with different color schemes that fit in with my different videos. So they'll fit in with the tab groups that I have. So that's why you'll see like set color schemes for different things. It'll be a bit more visual. And there'll be a bit more thoughts going into it. There are new logos. Thank you to Chris Jones, who has helped with the base of the logo, and then Benny Pie's made them all singing, all dancing, including the channel logo as you see it. And also thanks to Andreas, who has also helped out with the little avatars or emojis for the live chats and comments as well. So thank you for all the people who have helped out there. Thank you for JR, who is helping out with our campaign efforts. He's absolutely integral. I mean, he's not just integral, he is the guy that sorts out our campaigns, because I'm just too busy to do stuff like that. So I really appreciate that. He is helping out Ukraine in really significant ways. So thank you to all those people. Benny Pie has been really helping out with the tech stuff, so thank you. And thank you guys as well. It is really helping. You guys really help, so thank you. I do appreciate you. Anyway, in the meantime, take care, guys, and I will speak to you soon. Toodle pips.